Okay, we're going to take a look at how we solve trig equations in this video. So here we've got solve sine of theta is equal to 1 over root 2 for theta equals 0 to 4 pi. So you're always going to be given an interval to solve for theta, and you're going to have more than one solution for theta within that interval. So your first step is always going to be to find the first value of theta using either your calculator or your knowledge of exact values. So using your calculator, you would do the inverse sine of 1 over root 2. Okay, but that one there you should recognize is 45 degrees for theta from when we did exact values, or pi over 4. So your first solution is pi over 4. Now your second step is that you're either going to use the graph of the trig function, or you can use the cast rule to work out your other solutions. So let's take a look first using the graph. So what this is really asking me is, where do the graphs y equals sine theta and y equals 1 over root 2, where do they intersect? That's the solution to that equation. And you can see here, if I'm looking at theta between 0 and 4 pi, so that's this here. So this is in numerical values rather than in terms of pi. So I'll just write in some of the points for you. Okay, this would be pi over 2 and so on. I won't write them all in. Hopefully you get the idea. Okay, so you can see here that there's actually 4 solutions, okay? Because there's 4 intersection points between the graph y equals sine theta and y equals 1 over root 2. But our calculator only gives us 1. So looking at the graph, we can see that the second, so this is the first solution, sorry. This one is the one that our calculator gives us, that first acute angle. So that's pi over 4. So this second solution here is going to be pi minus pi over 4, which is 3 pi over 4. Okay, so that's my second solution. So that's this one here, 3 pi over 4. Now your third solution, because now we're in our second period of pi, that's just going to be whatever our first solution was plus 2 pi. So that gives us 9 pi over 4. And then this one here is going to be 2 pi plus your second solution. So we do 2 pi plus our second solution, which was 3 pi over 4, which gives us 11 pi over 4. So altogether, my solutions for theta are pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 9 pi over 4, and 11 pi over 4. And I know that 4 solutions is correct because if I look at my curve and the line y equals 1 over root 2, I can see that there's 4 intersection points, and that's it. We can also use the cast rule to solve this. So the first step is going to be the same. You'd have to use your calculator or your knowledge of exact values to get your first solution. Then the next thing we would do is we would draw that angle. So the angle pi over 4 is here. Because remember, pi over 4 is just 45 degrees. And I'm going to write in my cast. And because I'm looking for where sine of theta is a positive value, I know that sine is positive in this quadrant over here. So I'm going to draw my angle in. So this would also be pi over 4. So that means that the second solution that I'm looking for is this whole angle here, which is just going to be pi minus pi over 4, or 3 pi over 4. So that gives me my second solution. Now once you have your first 2 solutions, your next one is always just going to be whatever your first one is plus 2 pi. Okay, because it's the next rotation, and so you can see sort of in terms of a diagram, you're going around to 2 pi, that's your third angle there. So that one would be pi over 4 plus 2 pi, which we know is 9 pi over 4. And then again, add 2 pi to this one, which is 11 pi over 4. Okay, so same answers, just a different way to do them. I prefer using the cast rule, but you can use whatever you want. So the rest of this video, I'm just going to solve 3 more trig equations, so you can watch as little or as much of it as you want, depending on how many examples you need to see. Okay, so this one here, we've got cos of x is equal to negative root 3 over 2. So because it's a negative value, I'm just going to think about, okay, what is this? What would this be for x? Okay, if I was just looking at the positive root 3 over 2. And I know from my exact values that for that, x has to be equal to 30 degrees or pi over 6. Okay, so if you're looking for a negative value, the first thing you want to do is just find the value of that when it's positive. So now using my cast rule, the angle pi over 6, 30 degrees, is here, pi over 6. But I'm looking, so that's where cosine is positive. I'm looking for where cosine is negative. So it's negative in the third and fourth quadrants. So I'm going to need this angle here, which is going to be pi minus pi over 6. And then I'm also looking for this angle here, which is pi plus pi over 6. Okay, so my solutions for cos of x, and I'm only looking between 0 and 2 pi now, are going to be x is equal to pi minus pi over 6, which is 5 pi over 6. And pi plus pi over 6, which is 7 pi over 6. Okay, so those are my two solutions. Okay, if I wanted to sort of relate that to the cosine curve, I can draw cosine between 0 and 2 pi, so that's just one period of the cosine curve. And I'm looking for where it's negative root 3 over 2, so that's going to be somewhere down here. That's just sort of an estimate, negative root 3 over 2. Okay, and you can see that there are my two solutions. I know that this point here is pi over 2, and I know that this point here is 3 pi over 2. So I know that my two solutions are going to be in between pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Okay, so again, you can use either way, but I find the cast rule a little bit easier to work with. Okay, for this equation here, we've got 4 sine x minus 2 is equal to 0. When we want to solve trig equations, we need to make sure that we've got sine of x as the subject of that equation. So we're going to have to rearrange so that we have something like sine x equals. So first thing we can do is add 2 to both sides to get 4 sine of x is equal to 2. Dividing both sides by 4, I get sine of x is equal to 2 over 4, or sine of x is equal to a half. So my first solution is always going to be using my calculator or my knowledge of exact values, and I should know that sine of 30 equals a half, so x is equal to 30 degrees or pi over 6. My next solution I'm going to get using my cast rule, so here is the angle pi over 6. Okay, and because sine of x is equal to positive a half, I'm looking for where sine is positive, which is in this quadrant here. So here's the angle pi over 6. So my second solution is going to be pi minus pi over 6 or 5 pi over 6. Now the interval that I want is from negative 2 pi to 2 pi. So that means that I need to look for some negative angles now. So looking at my cast diagram, I can see that the angle that I want, it's still those two angles because I'm looking for positive values of sine, but now I have to measure them in the negative direction, so going this way. So that angle there is going to be negative pi minus another pi over 6, which is negative 7 pi over 6. Okay, so that's my third solution. My fourth solution is going to be all the way over there. So almost negative 2 pi, but plus another pi over 6, which is negative 11 pi over 6. Looking at that graphically, here I've got the sine curve from negative 2 pi. Okay, so that's negative 2 pi to 2 pi. So you can see that when I want that equal to a half, so that's that line there, there are my 4 solutions. Okay, so this first one was my pi over 6. There's my 5 pi over 6. This is my negative 7 pi over 6 and my negative 11 pi over 6.